when she was sitting on, sitting on screen with Charlie Kirk. Other than that, she was very obscure. So I disagree with that premise.
Well, I disagree with you. I'm an Arizonan. I live here. It's a small town, and everybody knows who Erica Kirk is. And if she breezed into town, it would be a celebrity thing. We got a town of 40,000 people, and the only thing going on here is the base. That whole thing would be, and as a guy who used to plan operations that included kinetic operations, I'm just telling you, you would not want to bring in anybody recognizable. There's no reason to. Any coordination she would be involved in, you could do on the phone. But that is just an operational risk that would be off the chart and unacceptable.
I mean, either way, we're just speculating, right?
I'm not speculating. I'm telling you from a military perspective, if there was an operation, that would be a major liability that would be unacceptable. And the idea that some guy, even if a veteran, even if an SF veteran, which at the age of 20 or whatever it was, the idea that he was
an SF this guy produces video from the scene tomorrow or this next week, are you willing to change your position?
Absolutely, I'm willing to change. Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
Well, until we get receipts, then
I'm just telling you, factually, his story does not add up from a military perspective.
I mean, that's not fact. That's just being objective, Colonel. I'm not trying to disrespect you. I'm just saying that's your opinion, right? Factually, something that's substantiated through independently verifiable evidence. So I'm just
yes. Show me the 214, and I'll believe he was SF. Absolutely.
But just because that happened, like whenever he found the tunnels, whenever he was 20, that doesn't mean that he left the military like immediately at that time. We don't know when he actually left the military. So he could have, maybe he wasn't special forces at that particular time that he found the tunnel, if you're saying he has to go, or maybe he was in the process or something like that. But we don't know that he didn't become that or he wasn't going that way. We don't know any of that history of the story.
What we do know is his original story was they did JTF-6 and was supposed to go into WITSEC. And he did not go into WITSEC and got out of the military shortly thereafter.
Which is correct, but we don't know. But he was going into WITSEC because he realized that his name had been released to the Sinaloa cartel. We don't know when that was released. We don't know the dates of when that happened.
The cartel is right across the border, right there. Like it is right there. The cartels are across the street.
Yeah, no, they're literally across the street from my neighborhood. I mean,
that's why I thought myself, not where it is, but
yeah.
Yep.
The cartel is fully penetrated into Arizona and the United States. We can talk about that too. But the point is that his story was that he served on JTF-6, was supposed to go into WITSEC, and then got out of the military shortly thereafter. That does not allow...
He never said that I got out after, and we still don't know the dates on this. This could be a year later. This could be 2 years later.
I think we should wait. I think that, well, look, I don't sell shit to my audience on like nothing, right? Like I would not tell 1,200. My listeners come to me because I'm honest with them. I can tell you, last night when this guy was getting smeared, I looked at his background as much as I could, and I found evidence from a veterans organization from 2022, or was it 21, that listed him as a special forces medic. Now, you could say, oh, well, that was a fabricated story, 4 or 5 years ago, but, what's the likelihood of that? Also, his divorce records are public. They're in Washington. So if anybody really wants to dig, my listeners, you can independently verify this. His combat record is mentioned, his PTSD. He was treated for PTSD for psychological problems during his divorce. His wife used it as a premise to take his kid, right? And it was because of his combat record. So this is verified in a court of law. So again, maybe the rank or maybe some of the specifics about it, but as far as I could see, from primary evidence, he was in the military. So again, I don't, maybe he wasn't special forces or JTS. I'm not sure, right? I'm not saying I know exactly what rank or position he held, but I found 2 independently verifiable sources last night that said, and one was a court record, which is pretty solid, because it wasn't disputed, right? So that he was in the military.
That he was in the military, but you have to understand the SF claim is a really big deal. But the story does not add up. The timeline does not add up. And the biggest
I will send you the docket, and you can look through and see. I don't remember if I saw it was mentioned, but I'll show you what I read. But I mean, it looks substantiated to me.
I will look at it. I will be happy to look at it. But I'm telling you, the concept of wandering into an operational building is absurd. When
he was outside, he didn't go in the building. That was not the claim that was made.
Yes, it is. The claim is that
he went into the lobby. He went to the lobby.
Yeah.
And it was also in the building was not. It was in a temporary place. It was not the place that they normally had done it.
And they took him inside.
Yeah, I know. I know what building it is. I'm telling you, this is the headquarters for the JTF that's doing the southern border now.
And it's a temporary building?
The story was. What's that?
Is it the one you're referring to? Is it the temporary building?
Well, it's a temporary headquarters. It's not a temporary building. It's an established building that used to have something there. It got moved out. They moved these guys in when the task force was assigned here. But every building that has anything operational on it has a front desk right in front of it. And in order to enter that building, you have to have a special ID card pass that's in addition to a military ID.
Oh, bro. I'm sorry. I just have some breaking news. The Rep Mark Amodi has been community noted for not being there during the hours to which he claimed he was. So that is amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure that fucker is lying. I'm just trying to tell you guys
wouldn't that give more credit to his story, though? If you can't get in that building unless you're credentialed and you have a reason to be there, he wouldn't have been able to get into that lobby in the first place unless he was what he said he was.
Well, no. You could be any retired military or whatever and walk into that building, but you'd be stopped at that front desk.
And that's what he said, is that he walked to the lobby and he saw these people in the lobby.
But the meeting that's alleged would happen in a skip.
But he didn't say that he saw the meeting. He said that he saw
them coming out of the meeting.
Which is coming into the lobby. So he's in the lobby and he sees all of these lieutenant colonels walking out into the lobby they're leaving. They're done.
We know his position. We don't need to argue about it really anymore. I want to keep moving. But the fact that this sitting congressman just got community noted on his alibi, I think is fucking crazy. That is significant. What? What'd you say? Hello?
That's major.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm gonna post it here in a second. All right, let's go to Kelly, and then I do want to pivot to Epstein.
Hi, thank you for having me on. I just want to say thank you to the colonel, the military guy. I'm not military. My boyfriend is ex-military, but I really appreciate what he's doing, because if there's any chance that this guy is here to plant and throw things off, or I don't know, maybe part of his story is real, I think it's really important to poke holes in it where it's not lining up. And I know Valhalla has done the same thing. I know none of you guys know me. I'm an independent journalist. I actually had very little idea who Charlie Kirk even was. Prior to, I'm not Republican. I come from a Republican family, but just my background, I'm an independent. But I became very interested in this case when he was assassinated, because I went and I watched his interview with Tucker Carlson, not even a month before he was assassinated. And if you go to my Twitter page, you'll probably see, if you go in videos, you'll see I cut a 12-minute, two separate, 6.5-minute clips of Charlie, and then another separate 2-minute one from that, where he is really zeroing in on the intelligence agencies. And it was very alarming to me, having been someone, I worked on Assange Countdown to Freedom, a show for 4 years. I'm a big advocate of, transparency completely. And so anyway, that's just my background, but that's not why I jumped in when I heard you guys talking about the paving over. So anyway, I have been following this like every day since it happened. And I'm very concerned about the paving over. And also I wondered, in all the stuff that I've watched, and that's a lot of different YouTubers and everything, I haven't seen anybody really focus on the windows of the, what is that, the Hall of Flags kind of behind the tent. And I may have just missed it.
I mean, that's a little bit off topic from what we're talking about right now. We can pivot.
Okay, but what I'm asking, the reason I'm asking is because I know there was a guy, is it Range Day Bros or somebody who had focused on a shot coming from behind, but it was kind of up to the right. And I wondered, could it have come more directly behind? And I thought it was odd that they've got this big, like, mural screen printing window thing over. And I wondered, has anyone looked into, like, when that was placed there? Because you know how there was the...
I've been in that Hall of Flags, and I can tell you that I can tell you that there is no way that a shot came from inside of there. It is absolutely no way.
Okay.
It is a part of the inside of the school. None of the vents are accessible. I have been in there multiple times. I videoed it in there. I did a live video space walkthrough in there, and I can tell you that yep. All right, we're gonna continue.
Okay, I saw some of we were walking around on campus, but I missed that part.
Okay, well, that's on my highlights. If you want to go back through and look at it, you can probably find it.
Okay, because there was the guy on the roof in tactical gear, right? That would have been sort of the other end of the hall.
There was 2 individuals who were above Charlie, and they were in a cordoned off area that had caution tape. So, all right. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Is there anybody else who wants to talk about Charlie before we pivot to Epstein? And we're going to move back to Charlie, just not right now. Anybody? No? Okay. Maine, you're up.
Oh, what are you guys talking about? It's slow news day. Very, very slow news day.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened, Slow news day. You got people resigning from Congress. You got
resigning from Congress.
You got, let's see. You got the Senator Loomis from Wyoming's not running for re-election. You got Stefanik dropping out of the New York governor's race and say she's not running for re-election in New York. Very interesting. You have Bongino's resignation, and now you got the Epstein files drop. Pretty interesting. This all just happens all in a vacuum. Nothing happens in a vacuum, friends, and then nothing is coincidence. So before I came in here, which feels like 2 years ago now, you guys were talking about Charlie. I was on a call with Ro Khanna and a few others, and I had a few questions for the congressman about precisely where we're at. And here's where we're at. And this is a direct quote from Ro Khanna. Pam Bondi has broken the law. It's a direct quote from a congressman that helped to write the Epstein Transparency Act. The Attorney General of the United States has broken the law. And in that, she has, in fact, redacted things that are not allowed to be redacted pursuant to the law that was passed by the House, passed by the Senate, and signed by the President. There are things in there, and this is direct language from the Department of Justice that was out on Fox News a couple hours ago when they came out, is that there are things in here that are protecting people that are political people in these files that were released today. That is a violation of the law, number one. Number two, according to Ro Khanna, the Department of Justice is in possession of over 300 gigabytes of Epstein files. This evening, we've seen 3 gigabytes of files. They are purposely withholding, and they have not met any of the obligations that are inside the Epstein Transparency Act. And final point, what are our avenues now to hold these people accountable? So, couple of things.
Did you see the conversation I was having under your post?
I did.
About that? Okay.
Yeah. So, one, we're in a kind of a sticky situation when it comes to federal stuff on the legal side because the Attorney General is implicated here. The Attorney General would have to press charges on herself. So we all know that's not going to happen. Another direct quote from Ro Khanna is Congress is actively discussing impeachment proceedings for Attorney General Pam Bondi over the Epstein files. Now, this will most likely have to start in the Senate with discussions, or have to wait till the House comes back if Speaker Johnson puts the House back into session after the holiday, because they are now out of session a day early. They were out yesterday. And then secondly, the most important part, and I have this post on my page too, this was really stuck out for me in the chat that I had. The two best avenues for accountability and pressure are, one, political pressure, because this is a terrible thing for the president, because this Epstein story is not going away. And the way that the Department of Justice has handled this by redacting over 90% of the files that were released today, and that is only 1% of the entirety of the files that they have, tells you if they're releasing what they're releasing now, God knows what they're holding back. The political pressure is Avenue A. Avenue B is pressuring state-level attorney generals to launch their own investigations into crimes that may have occurred in their states. Why is that important? State-level crimes are not eligible for presidential pardon, right? So, and then one thing Rose said also, when it comes to Pam Bondi, the statute of limitations for crimes associated with these files is 10 years. So this can be dragged out until the next administration in 2028, 2029, when they take office as well. That is, of course, if the President of the United States does not preemptively pardon literally everybody that works for him. And if you've heard me talking here before, that is the unintended consequence of Joe Biden's pardon at the end of his term, that now this president will take this and...
You're assuming it's unintended?
Well, yeah, we'll go crazy with it now. And now this president may preemptively pardon everybody else. And my opinion on this has been very simple. This is precisely why the open and brazen corruption in this administration that we've seen, from the grifting to the stuff we saw this week with Trump Media Company getting into the nuclear fusion business somehow,
Isn't
some way.
Weird? I have to point this out too.
Yeah.
You brought up my comments. Isn't it weird that a nuclear physicist gets sniped out at over there, MIT, and then the same week Trump merges with a nuclear fusion company?
Well, it's really interesting you mentioned that, Dilly, because actually, if you dig a little bit further into that fellow's life, he worked for a direct competitor of TAE, which is the company that Trump's media company just merged with. And that competitor has gotten millions, if not billions of dollars in government contracts. This new company, this TAE, which has Russian money behind it, by the way, has never received a government contract. I wrote it on my page, or this story went, mark my words, that company, TAE, Nuclear Fusion, undoubtedly within the next 3 years will get a government contract under this administration. I would bet house money on it all day long. Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Maine, I have to ask, I'm just curious, how come your ears aren't perked up more about the thought of a Republican House member being caught up in some scandal like this? Like, isn't this a good opportunity for Democrats to jump in and dogpile this guy?
Scandal like what? Are you talking about the Charlie Kirk guy in Nevada?
Yeah, he got caught lying.
Here's my thing on this, and I've said it since January 20th. Let them fight. Let them cook. If it ain't my fight, I don't care. I don't care. I haven't found, I think Charlie's death is tragic. Whoever killed him, there should be an investigation. They should have justice. They should die. All that kind of stuff. If y'all on the Republican side, I know, Dilly, you're not a Republican anymore. If the Republican Party and TPUSA and MAGA don't want to fight and figure it out,
Republican.
This is not my fight. I don't care. I got more important things to do than this. To be honest, to be perfectly honest. By the way, if it turns out this guy is part of it,
you guys, dude, Democrat. This is just, it's fucking mind.
I don't care if there's our government is actively assassinating Americans.
Not just that, okay? You're talking about the largest infighting in the Republican Party since Epstein, right? why would you not flame or fan the flames of that if you were a Democrat? That doesn't make any sense. Epstein, for example, they did with Epstein. They did not shut up about Epstein all summer long. They kept alluding that Trump was in the files, that he's holding it back to cover for his pedo friends, yada, yada, yada. But when it comes to Kirk, when there's clearly, right, some kind of high-level involvement either between this administration or, like I just pointed out, a Republican House member, you guys are crickets.
I don't think we need to do
this.
I'll be very clear. Very simple. We don't have to do shit. We don't have to do anything. Right? It's the simplest rule in political warfare and regular warfare. Divide and conquer. If the right is going to be up in arms about this and squabbling over the future of TPUSA and who's going to carry the MAGA throne after Trump's, not in the picture anymore, why would Democrats need to do anything except be subversive and throw a little bit of this and that? The Democrats should be doing exactly what they're doing. Let Trump cook the Republican Party. About. Don't care. It's not our fight. Y'all figure it out. We're going to go over here and talk to voters about things that are really affecting their bank accounts and everything else.
Maine.
Fights about the corruption of our government.
Maine, imagine how idiotic and ironic you sound. Like, it's so contradictory to say when the Biden administration...
Nope, doesn't matter. Biden's over. Get over it.
No, wait, hold on. No, you just said... Hold on. You just said he preemptively pardoned somebody.
Yep.
So hold on. No, I know. And remember, you said you were worried about it because of the lasting implications, correct?
So I was
then why aren't you worried? Then why aren't you worried about the lasting implications about a sitting administration potentially...
Oh, you're making a false equivalence.
No, I'm not making a false equivalence.
You are.
No, it's not at all.
They're not
at all.
Let me
finish what I'm saying. So you were worried. You were worried about it because of what it could mean for the future and potentially how it could affect your party moving forward or the country as a whole. In this situation, you don't care about an American citizen who, at minimum, the whole story that's being put out by a Republican administration. I lean that way. And they're the ones that are running interference for whoever. We can argue who that is or isn't. And you're like, I don't care at all.
I really don't. I'm going to be very clear with you. I don't care about this Erica Kirk, Candace Owens bullshit. That's a distraction. If you want to talk about what really happened to Charlie Kirk, go through the trial. Facts come out in the trial. Go that way. I don't do this conspiracy theory nonsense of it was an Israeli op or there was a magic bullet or a drone or the guy in the front with a CIA pump gun or any of this shit. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in these because but that's the thing with conspiracy theories. If they aren't proven and it doesn't make you satisfied, you're just gonna believe what you want to believe anyway.
Bro, hold on. We're talking about the Epstein files, right? We're not gonna start labeling people as conspiracy theorists. Let's have a meaningful conversation.
Yeah. Right, so let's go back to the topic that I'm actually in here to talk about, which is Epstein, right? And that's a real thing and it's a cross-cutting thing, right? And it's very, very clear to me. And if we really want to talk political nature, this is a booby trap, and the Trump administration stepped right into it. Okay, this entire Epstein Transparency Act with Bassi and Khanna is a radioactive nuclear bomb. And the Trump administration had it right in their hands. And all they had to do to defuse it was have 100% transparency and follow the letter of the law that was passed in Congress and signed by the president. And they did not do that. They didn't do it and purposely didn't do it and are trying to claim victory. I find it interesting that the files that we did get today are all about Bill Clinton, who is just as equally a piece of shit and should face accountability for
Michael Jackson as well.
Rest in peace, King Pop. So I find it interesting. I was in the GC earlier today. Why do you think it's all about Bill Clinton? I'm like, are you new to Trump politics? Like, are you new to this? This is like I said this when they were having the big speech that was going to say that we were going to war with Venezuela. Ain't nothing going to happen, right? This is the most predictable predictable president we've ever had. You knew the stuff was going to be redacted. You knew the stuff that was going to get released was going to be about Bill Clinton and Democrats.
You're wrong. Hold on.
Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
Okay. Thank you. Don't interrupt, though. I'll let you know.
Well, you've had the floor for a while.
Allow a little bit of flavor. Terry, he's
Go
a
ahead,
Democrat,
Terry.
bro.
Go ahead.
You can't. You're not gonna
Go
let a
ahead, Terry.
Democrat chime in over you, man? Jeez.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Terry. I'm an independent.
Yeah, I'm a Democrat. You know, I was pro at one point. Worked on Capitol Hill for 5 years, so you know I know a little bit. And tactically, politically, you're right. Okay, but my problem with this is twofold. One is, what is our party's program? You don't have one, Maine. You're just talking bullshit. And we have to do better than say Trump is this and Trump is that. And I'm all with you. I agree with you. And, you know, I'm glad to see this story absolutely falling apart. Okay? But what do we stand for? What are we for? And number two is, so I completely disagree with your cynical, hardcore political view. Okay? I mean, it's bullshit, man. And I never talk like this to people in here, ever. And number two is...
So base. What does that mean?
Excuse me.
What do you mean?
Excuse me. Let me finish.
Let him finish his points and I'll let you respond, man. I'm interrupted.
And I'm gonna land here. We have a bunch of people, especially in this
I
room.
love that I have two Democrats going at each other on my stage right now.
One of us is a Democrat, the other one's a
You're about to have a third. You're about to have a third.
I'm a Democrat.
Okay, just a moment. Look, I you know what? I'm not so biased anymore, right? If you were trying to fight for truth and trying to save this country, I will listen to you. Go ahead, Terry.
That's what I want. I want truth, man. And if you were, you know, a good political operator, a smarter one, you would be for that too.
What was your number two?
Number two is, we are in a room here filled with people that probably don't agree with us on everything. Okay, not even close. And so we have to find these areas where we do agree and make that bond stronger. And you don't do that. So I disagree with you.
All right, I appreciate
And
the
also,
platitudes.
Maine, before Jeffrey was arrested,
Let's let Maine
it was
respond.
it was
I
considered a
promise that I would
conspiracy.
let Maine respond. Go ahead, Maine.
No,
That's all I was
I
gonna
disagree
say.
with that. Yeah, I disagree with that. Being as somebody that grew up in Palm Beach, this has never been a secret. And
it
by the
was
way,
considered a conspiracy.
Well, again, I want
theory.
Maine to address Terry, please. Go ahead.
all right, two things. I can do two things at once. I don't have ADHD. Well, not as much anymore. It wasn't a conspiracy unless it was a conspiracy if you didn't know the ins and the outs of the cases, right? I grew up in Florida. This has been very well known in Florida. Didn't get national news until he got arrested and the cases down in Florida went out with Alex Acosta and Pam Bondi, number one. Number two, Terry, I honestly have no idea what you just said, honestly, because you come at me like I'm not a real Democrat with real solutions. We don't have anything to stand on. I'm incredibly political. I spend more time talking to Republicans and conservatives than I do talking to Democrats and liberals. So I'm not really sure you have any idea who I am. I don't think you have any idea of what I stand for. And I don't think you really have any idea what the Democratic Party stands for either. And here's the other part.
I think his point is, though, hold on, let me just add this. I think what he's
did
trying
you
to say is that the Democrats don't really know what they stand for right now.
No, now I got Dilly putting words in my mouth. And then the last
talking about Terry. I think
Terry.
what he said was that the Democrats don't have a plan right now. They're not offering.
Don't need one. This is what you don't understand. When you are in the opposition, you don't need one. When you are in opposition, that is the whole point of democratic theory in the United States. When you are in the opposition, the entire point is to listen to the people. That is the entire point. You listen to the people. Thanks, Terry. I didn't interrupt you. I'll finish, and then I will let you respond to me.
Yeah, go ahead.
The entire point is to be in the opposition. Now, when you get closer to the midterms, when people are starting to decide who they're voting for, that's when you produce your party platform. Ask Newt Gingrich. Gingrich produced the Contract for America in the 90s. We know the president's not really popular. We know what the President Clinton went through with his, let's call, personal transgressions, right? Here's what we're offering. The Democrats don't need to do that right now. They don't. They need to organize and win elections. And by the way, take a look around. The Democrats are winning literally every election in 2025. They just got a white woman, whose nickname in Miami is Gringa, to be the first Democrat in 30 years to be the mayor of Miami, Florida. The Democrats are doing much better than you think they are, and they don't need a policy platform now to do it. That's the beauty of being in the opposition. It is actually much easier to be in the opposition than it is to govern, especially when you are running as a populist like this president did. Ran as a populist on a laundry list of campaign promises that he can't fill, and has created an insurgency inside his own party and has divided his own party and his coalition. And if you don't see that, you're not paying attention.
Can I talk? Are you done?
Sure, go right ahead. I can't wait to hear this. I'm going to dumb myself down to third grade reading level. Please go ahead.
You know, why do you have to go to ad hominem attacks, man?
You don't like that, right? It's not good, right? I can't do that. You can do that to me, but I can't do that to you, right?
Okay, let me help. You did cast a little bit of aspersions at him, and it's okay. You did. I don't know if you realize you did it, but you did. And it's fine.
My bad. I apologize. I apologize.
Okay.
But Maine, here's the thing, is see, you can't help yourself, man. You just gotta talk.
Can't wait.
He's trying to trigger you. Maine's not interrupting.
It's not gonna work. So, but Maine, tactically, politically, I agree with you, which is the best thing for the opposition to do is sit back and let the majority party at this point tear itself to pieces. I mean, that's exactly right. We don't have to say anything or do anything. Tactically, I agree with you. And just FYI, I was working precincts on the south side of Chicago before you were born, dude. But anyway, the thing is...
How old are you, bro?
Yeah, I'm a boomer, dude. I'm 71.
Oh, dear.
So...
All right, so let him finish.
Well, let me finish. So, you are right, tactically. But tactics are just going to fuck up our country even more. We have to find ways to have substantive common cause with people in this room that we naturally disagree with. Like, I don't agree with most of the people in here about, right to life or right to choice. I know I wouldn't. But you know what? I think we have to find ways and areas to agree with them. So to say, we can just sit back and let them tear each other up, I mean, it is entertaining, I have to admit, but it's not a way to govern and bring the country together.
I think that's a good point. And I'll say this. You can do two things at once, which is one, let the Republicans cannibalize, which is precisely what we should do, which is governing tactics, to go back to what you were saying, which is why I was totally in favor of Schumer keeping the government open twice. Don't be obstructionists, milk it for what you can, and make the majority party try to govern, okay? Especially when they're divided, because they can't. Okay, Democrats, when they were in power, they couldn't really govern either. It was pretty difficult for them to do it, even with a supermajority in the first 18 months of the Obama administration. Okay, so, and then on the other side, you can do the other thing too, which is you coalition build. You can do the same thing, right?
Exactly.
It's called you have the inside the beltway strategy and tactics that I'm talking about, right? Which is keeping the government open, things of that nature. And then outside in the grassroots, you have to do both. 100% there, right there with you. And the Democrats are doing that. You can see that in the performance in the elections, and the right tactics are working inside of Washington to see how divided the Republicans are and how Donald Trump's numbers are going anywhere and everywhere except up. They're going down across the board.
I would and I'll stop. But, I would wonder how many of the people in this room, especially who tilt right, and some very hard right, would say, oh man, that main guy's got it together. I love his viewpoint for our country. And I think it would not be very many. And I think, but I could be wrong, but we got to get a bigger tent. That's all I'm saying. But we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just convinced by Maine that I want to vote less this year.
Excellent. We'll take that. Well, that's good too. No, I'm just kidding. Please
Well,
action.
I mean, well,
Please action.
you act like Democrats aren't disillusioned. You're talking to one who is telling you he's disillusioned right now. So, okay, let's go to some other hands, and I want to bring it back to the topic as well. Go ahead, this authentic. Remember, let's keep it about Epstein.
Stop spamming me with emojis, by the way. It's
I'm not
annoying.
doing it.
No, not you. A bunch of people are. It's annoying.
It's Casey, by the way. Just to let you know. But okay, so Maine, I lifelong Democrat, and I ventured into this arena by ways of Charlie. And here's what I will say, because if you are this passionate about Epstein, which clearly you are, and I can tell that you have wealth of knowledge when it comes to like politics and strategy and everything like that, like you obviously care about the truth. And at the end of the day, this is where I'm at. I feel like parties are the distraction, because as long as there's parties, as long as they keep us fighting against each other, right, and trying to have a stake in this game, the game's rigged, and everyone's bought and paid for. Everything's fake and gay, and we're going to see that with Epstein. And it's like, if we don't come together to some capacity, we are going to lose our democracy in its entirety. That is where we're headed.
Constitutional Republic. Sorry, I had to correct you.
Constitution, thank you. Okay, yes. It is, there is so much foreign influence, and like, I mean, would you agree with that we have too much foreign influence in our politics?
Yes. And it's not just foreign. It's not just foreign, right? We are purposely being divided by a uniparty donor class that spend money on both sides of the political aisle, and I have seen this in my own life and in my own experience as being a Democratic Party operative, and I have seen it where you have super donors, since Citizen United, that spend money on both candidates in the same race, so they have leverage over the other one when they get in there, so they can start racking up the IOUs. And nowadays, it's even worse, because you have the billionaire class. They are entirely have free range to spend money on elections. Not just on that, inside the Beltway, right? Donating the politicians through PACs and everything else. They rig the algorithms for us to be at each other's heads. They own all of the newspapers and the media companies and everything else, and rig that on top of it. I'm right there with you.
I'm telling you, I would imagine the majority of the people that are in this room feel the exact same way. Like, everyone's looking around going, holy shit, no one gives a flying F about Americans. Like, no one cares, because they all are indebted to...
This shit nasty as hell. Y'all need to learn how...
You know, whatever money, foreign money, or... It's so broken right now, and I'm telling you, as long as we continue to try to like dig our heels in and fight for the cause of our party, we will all lose. And I'm at a point now change things, and I know that's probably like naive for me to think that we have that power, but like, what else do we have? We're gonna lose this country.
I think you're spot on there, but here's the one thing I will tell you. We are so entrenched right now in a binary political system that the only reason why, and by the way, I changed my party registration this year. I am an independent, but I do what one of my senators does, Angus King. I caucus as a Democrat, right? Because I've yet to find a Republican that's got the testicular fortitude to really stand up for middle and working class people with an economic populist message and hold true to it when they get elected. Even Massey. There are times when I agree with Massey, and there are times when I disagree with Massey, right? There hasn't been one.
Do you really care about Epstein, or do you care about it politically? You know what I mean? Like how? What's your motivation? Be honest.
First of all, now I'm getting offended because let me tell you something, and I get really pissed off when people make aspersions when I just
asked.
No,
I'm
stop.
asking you a question.
I'm gonna answer it now because now I'm pissed off. Because I've made it abundantly clear how important this issue is to me, twofold. I grew up in Palm Beach, Florida. I know these people. I know the darks and the ins and the outs of the cesspool that is Palm Beach. I went to high school around the time that Jeffrey Epstein was plucking girls out of those public high schools. This has been an issue in my hometown for going on 30 years in Palm Beach, Florida. I wouldn't care if Bill Clinton was the standard bearer for this Epstein stuff. I have already called him a piece of shit in here. The problem I have, and that people don't understand this and don't spend enough time on it, this is not political. This is class-based. This entire thing is protecting a class of people by using the government to do so. That is the entirety of this point. And if you listen to Massey and you listen to Kana, that's truly what's at their root of their concern. They don't give a shit if Donald Trump's in here. They don't give a shit if Bill Clinton's in there. They want to know where the money is, where it went, who it came from, and why the government is being used to protect them. There's a reason why they call Palm Beach one of the darkest places on earth. And
So
why it's
wouldn't it
called
be
Wall
a
Street
better-
South.
So wouldn't it be a better idea to not make it a partisan issue to where it's like, you know, and stand for the American people as a whole and get out, you know, we remove ourselves from this forced choosing between left and right to just choose for Americans. Like, Montana has the way to get around Citizens United right now so that we can get that out of our politics. There are ways to get around. We have to do something to get around the system. And as long as we continue to play the left versus right game, we're going to be stuck in it. And I think that that's what some of the people here, and what I'm getting from some of the Democrats in the chat, is that they don't want the partisan infighting anymore. Like, we're tired of it. We're tired of playing this game. We're tired of being maneuvered like puppets. So why can't we come together and just search for truth, whether that means it's Epstein, whether that means Charlie Kirk, no matter who it is, finding the truth and coming together against the system instead of playing into it.
Hey, Maine, you know, you said politically and tactically it makes sense for Democrats to just sit and let us try to implode. But then you also stated politically and tactfully these rich entities within the United States pay on both ends.
Yes.
And it fucks us, right?
Yes. Yes.
So maybe when you take this angle and I agree, you're brilliant politically. There's things that I've listened to you speak on, and
Congress is currently debating spending cuts
you've got
alongside
insight that I
spending.
don't have. But the same lens.
No simping.
I'm not, but I'm just giving the guy a compliment. But regardless, the same lens that you look at that through is what's also destroying us. And you stated both things. So you're looking at it through this political and tactfully, but like your default setting is to this Democratic Party, and until you wash away from that, you're just gonna be a Democrat.
And Buck, and I heard your mouth, and I was like, damn, who the fuck are we pulling
So let
about?
me tell you more. Let me tell you more about my perspective. Okay? Is that
Do you acknowledge what I'm saying to you?
yeah? I hear what you're saying, but let me be a little bit more specific about my perspective. I hate the Democratic Party establishment just as much as I hate the Republicans. There's a reason why I'm no longer active in the Democratic Party. I left organized Democratic politics in 2016 because the Democratic Party has long since forgotten what are the founding roots of the modern day Democratic Party. They've left working class and middle class people behind and swapped them out for big business and Wall Street and corporate interests. That's been the case. That's why I left. That's why a lot of people left organized Democratic politics. But now you're starting to see something, and that's the grand U theory in political science, where working class people are starting to realize that we've been screwed over by a corporatist uniparty that does fund both party establishments.
Democrats thought they'd finally get Trump
The
with
senior
the Epstein
senator in
files.
Maine is Susan
But
Collins.
instead,
She's
all
been
they got was
26
pictures of you,
years.
buck naked,
Has
in a
not held
jacuzzi
one
with some
town
girls.
hall in this state.
Aren't you
in
afraid of
25
being
years.
arrested?
That Bill Gates is lobbying
When-
Congress,
Before one of my closest friends decided to
and
run
why
for
is it
Senate.
that this?
Susan Collins was having a fundraiser with California liberals at a wine cave in San Francisco. Liberals with Susan Collins raising money. People aren't interested in ideology. They don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. The idea of blue versus red is an illusion. That's why I'm trying to get people to realize it's class-based. When I say I want the Republican establishment to fight and break down, 100%, just like what just happened to the Democratic Party in 2024. Same thing. The Republicans have to go through the same thing. Because at that point, that allows the Republican Party to go back to its roots and get middle and working class people's interests at the front of the line. Democratic Party starts to break away from corporate interests and gets middle class and working class people together. And it allows the middle and working class Americans who have been left behind by both parties for almost 50 or 60 years to start talking to one another like we're doing right in here. But the one difference between my perspective and y'all's is, until we change the structure of our political system, which is impossible to do from the outside, it is impossible the way it's set up, is you have to use the system to get in and break it from within side. That's the only way. There's a reason why independents don't win presidential elections in this country, because the moneyed interests won't let them. And Noxie, on your point about Citizens United, I know about Montana. We did the same thing in Maine by a citizen's ballot. Guess what's happening? It's going through the court process. The entire point of those two amendments is to go through the court process and get it before the Supreme Court, not soon, but 2028 and 2029, when there's a change in the administration, and hopefully we can change some people out at the Supreme Court, because this Supreme Court will not do anything on the moneyed interest and the monetization and commoditization of our political system. I'll land there now. It's not red versus blue. It's us versus them. It's top versus bottom.
I want to make sure that I heard you correctly. You're saying that you don't believe that things can change unless we can get, like, it has to happen within the system currently.
Yeah.
And not, but
It's
that
too far gone.
system's never going to change.
No, that's where you and I disagree. That's where you and I disagree. People like to
It's gonna be different this time, I promise.
Gen Z is going to take millions of dollars from Israel? Come on. Dude.
Oh, God. Now we're doing the Israel stuff. Listen,
I didn't mention Israel.
Stay away from that. But Maine. I'm sorry. Just one quick.
If you want somebody to talk about Israel, we have Sam Parker co-hosting, right?
Yeah.
Come on.
Maine. I agree with everything you said. The thing that I think that's important is we've got to get rid of Citizens United. We've got to. That is probably our biggest problem. And the only other thing to say is that you're from Palm Beach.
We're supposed to be wheeling it back to Epstein, though.
I am. I'm going to get to Epstein right now. Palm Beach, these young girls who he was plucking out of your high school, their mommies and daddies were not going to the boy country clubs.
Michelle, been getting good, hasn't she?
They were not. They were 4 white girls. And it was a classic grab from billionaires. And it makes me sick. You just gotta say what it is. They saw it. And it's gross. And we gotta stop it. I'm done.
Appreciate you. Let's go to Maze Love. Go ahead, Maze. I mean, you can add a little trifling to it. It is Friday night. We can do some popcorn.
We're in the middle of a huge windstorm up here. It's blowing 80 miles an hour here. If I lose power,
Oh no. Well,
I know there's jokes here somewhere, but I'm not going to go ahead, Maze.
I knew you were going to do it. I knew.
that flew over my head, so you highlighted it. Thank you. Anyway, so this is something that kind of an epiphany I had recently is that, like, looking back, it just seems that our problem, and many of you have spoken to it, actually, has been that we would protect the treasonous traitors if it was our party. And, and then, like, we would kick and scream when it's the other party. And whenever we would do that, we would kind of, just because it's like this default thought that it's just anything but the other side taking office. So we have to, they would come together and they would, like, literally defend the traitorous and treasonous actions of whatever administration it was. And then that also begins to legitimize, like, we shouldn't even be having conversations about some of the shit that has happened that they've.
That's called personal transgressions, right? Here's what we're all.
Hello?
Hi everyone. No child should ever feel.
What's a soulmate?
It's well, it's like a best friend, but more.
Hypnosis is real become the United.
Three reasons.
And South America. Hey there.
Who never did this ever.
I love.
Admiration for the world, but now it is hated. Why? Because the Zionist cult. I used to not use the word Zionist. I hated in the past because I thought it was overly exaggeration. But now I see.
I feel like he gets overused too, though.
Yeah, but I see it. Unfortunately, it is a global cult. They infiltrate, they bribe, they blackmail, and they hijack. And they have hijacked Western governments, and I do believe with Middle Eastern governments, they are also. It is.
Do you think that's what we're seeing with Charlie Kirk and?
Yeah, absolutely. Therefore, we need to get rid of this cancer, whatever infected our government, and maybe we need several amendments. One is separation of corporation from the government. I love the Constitution. I studied deeply.
We need to ratify the free market.
Exactly. I think we need a constitutional protection against corporations, big money, and billionaire class. And I love the Constitution. The founders, the biggest asset of the United States is the philosophical mind of the founders of the United States. They were brilliant people, but unfortunately, they didn't foresee that there will be big corporations. They will basically change the government of people, by people, for people, to the government of the few, by the few, and for the few. And these are the wealthy, rich oligarchs. And therefore, we need one. And the second, I think also UBI, you should be thinking of universal basic income. And we are the richest country in the world, biggest, richest country, but we have millions of Americans struggling to feed themselves, huge debt. And I think it is possible if you study UBI system, especially automation and AI stuff, many people will be out of job, and this is not fair. And we have just one person, imagine, right now owns the wealth of one person more than 50% of American. This is not acceptable in between, but they want to tell us, well, black or white. Well, there is something in between. Thank you very much for your patience.
Well, I just want to highlight, if you guys weren't listening to that, he is a former or self-proclaimed, at least, very progressive Democrat who told you that not only did he donate to a Republican's Thomas Massey's campaign, he's also actively on the ground trying to get him elected.
I met him. I talked to him about 1 hour. We discussed and in his office. I love the guy. He's
amazing. Yeah, he's great.
He's an honest guy, and I do think that we should promote him to run for presidency.
No, I'd love for him to run for 28. I'd be all over that.
Diligent, who is talking right now? Because I want to follow him and they don't.
His name's Edith. Edith, he's got the white profile.
Oh, yep, thanks.
Yeah, he's a philosopher. He came into my spaces the first time. Let me just say this, because it's about Epstein and the people who are complaining about the political conversation. Well, this is a problem that has persisted throughout politics, right? It was identified under Bill Clinton. It persisted under Bush. It persisted under Obama. It persisted under Trump the first time. It persisted under Biden the last 4 years. And even now, even today, it's still persisting under Trump. This is not a partisan issue, but it is a political issue, and I'll tell you why. Because it involves leverage, right? And power brokers within the United States, not just blackmail, but leverage over some of the most wealthy individuals in our country that donate to the political class, right? I'm talking about the Leon Blacks, the Bill Clintons, like who else knows? Like these individuals are power brokers within the political system in the United States. This is why Epstein is so important. It is at the heart of, it's the crux of the rot, right? It highlights all of the very darkest things that work within the establishment, within the intelligence communities, within law enforcement, within the political class, all of it. It is the darkest. It is a. I'm looking for the proper word here. It is a congruency and a network of like all of the very darkest and most like sinister elements of our society. So that is why it's so important that we purge it from our country, right? That is why picked up, when I first started, I'm on a little bit of a diatribe, babe, so hold on.
No, go for it.
Yeah. When I decided to stick to Epstein this summer, right, I was full on MAGA. I never deviated from my party, never criticized Trump, right, except for when he picked J.D. Vance. Even that I didn't criticize him very hard, right? But I'm just saying, like, I had never openly criticized him. I never even thought that. I was actively cheerleading for my team. I was actively doing whatever I could to make them look good. Right? I'm admitting my own bias and what I did wrong here, right? And it wasn't until Epstein occurred where I found something that the administration was doing that I could not reconcile with my core principles, right? Which is pedophilia and child trafficking and all that. I just can't do it. And I went against the grain and they canceled me, right? Like, it was rough. I had CIA agents threatening me on the timeline, literally. All kinds of crazy shit. People trying to dox me, people trying to dox my family. I'm getting packages intercepted. It was nuts. But you know what happened is that a lot of my listener base died down a little bit, but more Democrats who were feeling disillusioned with their own started to listen to me, right? And so that's how Terry got here, right? That is how I'm looking in the crowd. Willow, and there's a bunch of them, right? There's a bunch of Democrats and Republicans who listen to these spaces now, right? It is an issue. Like, if you're looking for an issue to bring people together, you have to stop thinking, I can use this to make sure my party wins. No, like, we have to move as a body in the most strategic way to eliminate this threat possible as one cohesive unit, like unified under this issue, not so Democrats can win the midterms, not so Republicans can win the midterms. Like, we have to address this evil together. And this is an issue that can do it. It has done it. You just heard Edith up here telling you, right? I was a progressive. I just voted he's campaigning for a Republican on this issue, right? And so if you're listening right now, I would just, hey, look at this opportunity and realize that the two-party system, the Democrat versus Republican, all of the infighting and the culture war, all of the culture war shit, and I would even argue to some degree that it's the Jews and the Jews, even some of that's culture war shit, right? Like the racial divide shit, all of it. All of that shit is to keep us occupied and not hold the establishment or the ruling class accountable. And right now, you have two issues at the same time, which is crazy. We have Charlie Kirk's assassination, which is clearly fucking something very wicked has gone on here. And we have the Epstein case, where we know something wicked has gone on here, happening at the same time, where people are waking up on both sides of the aisle and coming together and demanding change. Like, I don't think that we've ever had a better moment to form a unified front and fucking get this shit out of our society.
That's a good one. Listen, just 2 quick points. The problem that grassroots movements have in America, regardless if they're on the left or the right, as organic as they start, that's not where they end. They always get co-opted by big money, corporate interests, and special interests. Democratic Party had one with Occupy Wall Street, right? Completely gone, wiped out. The right had it starting in 2010 after President Obama was inaugurated and the healthcare debate. They had the Tea Party. Tea Party started out as organic, small, limited government conservative movement, completely co-opted by the Koch brothers, American for Prosperity, and ALEC. Completely went away. I'm just going through the same thing. Started out as an organic, conservative, populist movement, has been completely co-opted by a grifter class, backed by foreign money and corporate money and billionaire money. It happens every single time. just does. And these movements fade away. Why? Because that's what the ruling uniparty class does to anybody that challenges their power. However, where I'll actually agree with Diligent on this is we are at an opportunity now to use the system that we have and use and marry the people power and the power of money in smaller amounts, and you pool that money and you push forward, right, against that. That's the only way you can do it in this system. Doesn't have to be red, doesn't have to be blue, right? But you have to be able to protect
you and I are
movement.
just.
You have to protect. Hold on. Let me finish, please. You have to protect yourselves from your movements being co-opted by nefarious actors. It happens every single time.
That's fair.
Every time. And it's very easy to do that now, and it is easier to do that now than ever before. And I'm going to be very truthful and personal with you for a moment. When I got involved in Democratic politics, I was a junior in college when I really started getting more involved. Jumped on a couple of congressional races, and then I jumped on the Obama campaign in September 07. Never expecting us to win, okay? I was one of the guys that was really, really in there in Iowa, and holy shit, we made history. We get to D.C., and it is unlike anything any of us have ever seen. We have a supermajority, basically with one of the largest electoral landslides in modern American presidential history, and we can't do shit. Why? Uniparty entrenchment. And the only way that stuff, anything that we wanted to get done could ever get done was by capitulation to that uniparty class. It happens to every president, every single time. The optimism that I do have going forward is that boomer-centered class, sorry Terry, boomer-centered uniparty
Just keep coming.
is dissipating. And I said this in the space the other night, and I got DMs after.
That kiss.
It is the Biden election and the two Trump elections are the last grasp of that uniparty's clamor on power. They're nervous, and they know it because they can see grassroots movements formulating that are cross-cutting in that grand U theory, where you have people in spaces like this that are liberal to progressive or conservative-leaning populists, and they're doing what we're doing in here, which is focusing on what Bill Clinton said in the 90s when he was running for president, is focusing on things that we agree on, not what we disagree on. And that is a small state perspective. And it's the perspective I try to get people to focus on, is the policy choices that we make as a government and as a society are personal. It's very easy to get lost in the numbers sometimes. But when you talk about health insurance premiums, people losing their jobs, people's bankruptcies, small business bankruptcies, these are people. And sometimes we need to refocus on that tidbit that we're all not just numbers. You focus on the people, the human aspect of it. That's when you'll get through and get people to stop looking at the red team, the blue team, the blue dog team, the yellow team, the whatever team, and focus on the people. That's how you can get that stuff going and using that system to do it.
Thanks, man. Let's go to Colonel. Welcome, sir, and then we'll go to C. Looper.
Yep. Hey, Dylan. Enjoy this space. Obviously, it's you covered the Charlie Kirk, and we're back on the Epstein. But here's the thing: is Maine's been dominating conversation. So I gotta ask about this. The populist side of Maine.
So Maine's been dominating the conversation, and the way to change that is to ask him a question.
Yeah, that's what I wanted, right? Because
interesting. Go ahead.
I'm on the other side of a lot of issues with him. However, he's very articulate, smart, and tells a damn good story on the populist side. So the issue I've got with Maine is not just that he likes Ron Wyden, who's a wraith of a human being, but the big thing is like what we're talking about here is he doesn't acknowledge rigged elections. Like he doesn't acknowledge that there's industrial scale voter fraud. And I think he knows there, apocalypse, but I don't want it to come. But if Maine could explain to us that our elections aren't rigged, or if they are, then why won't he talk about those things? Thanks, man.
I've been in spaces with fraud across the United States. I do believe, and by the way, and I think I'm going to say two things. One, I think the fact that we have a decentralized election system in this country that makes our way that we elect people better. I do not want the federal government. I don't want the federal government controlling elections in the states. I don't, because you're just asking. You're asking for it in that regard, right? I don't want any president or anything like that changing the nature of elections in 50 states. That's
so Dominion and Smartmatic owning the voting systems and running that in Georgia and all the swing states.
And Venezuela and wherever else.
Yeah. So our elections aren't rigged is what Maine is saying, which is hilarious.
It's off topic, though.
I love a lot what you're saying. Well, it kind of goes to the power structure, right? Which is Epstein, which is the blackmail and everything. So
yeah, but
it's all there, and you have the
Trump's in charge right now, dude, and the Epstein files are not happening.
I got it. I understand.
Well, listen. We have the House, we have the Senate, we have the executive, and we have the Supreme Court, right? How do regular elections have anything to do with the release or justice of the Epstein
last
files?
night or 2 nights ago, Dylan, you got Noxie did Noxie, not you. Noxie got Thomas Massey in, and it was great to hear him there. But it's the same thing. It's a limited hangout with Maine and with Thomas. They won't talk about the industrial scale voter fraud. And there's a little lady called Tina Peters, and I am pissed about this because she's a Gold Star mother who exposed the industrial scale voter fraud. And you guys, not you guys, you covered Dilly, Noxie covered it. Maine doesn't even acknowledge that a Gold Star mother's in prison for exposing
her being a Gold Star mother has nothing to do with her jail sentence.
You're a monster for believing.
Thank you. I don't want to have this debate.
I always find it interesting that when we're talking about election rigging, like all the elections are rigged, but Donald Trump won fair and square in 2024. Right? Like, if we're gonna be honest,
I'm so suspect of the system. I'm not taking any of that shit for granted anymore.
Right? I mean,
they're all
honestly,
fucking rigged, if you ask me.
Everybody forgets the Bob threats on election day.
I'm jaded, bro. I'm jaded. Listen, I want to go to some of these hands. You guys have been waiting patiently. Bottom right corner, everybody, please repost this space. We are talking about both the Charlie Kirk assassination. We do have more to cover on that topic. Sam, are you there? Like he's dropped out or something. Let me bring him back up here. Bottom right corner, everybody, please repost the space. We are going to go back to Charlie Kirk in a minute. I do want to continue to talk about what's actually in the Epstein files. What have you guys seen so far? I have not had a chance to look through them. I saw the Michael Jackson ones with Bill Clinton, who I think is an ID victim at 17. On the Lolita Express, which is pretty disgusting. So I want to get into that in a minute. Go ahead, C. Looper. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to circle back because I feel like the chat has gotten off topic with the uniparty system, and what I mean by that is Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter.
We're bringing it back to Epstein or Charlie Kirk.
Yes, that's exactly where I'm trying to go, and so I've noticed, going through my X feed, and actually I think I posted in the comments down there, in the chat or whatever you want to call it. I had to get into a queue to go through it, and I couldn't find nothing. I see Zionists on Instagram or on X, posting all this redacted information. So where's the truth? Where does the truth lie? Because at the end of the day, that's what we're searching for. We're searching for the truth, right? That's where we're in the spaces. That's what we're here.
I mean, to be fair, it's Republicans, Democrats, Zionists, etc. Like everybody's posting those redacted pictures. It's not just
yes, it's all uniparty slop. So we need the truth. We need the truth. Like, where do we go to find the truth? We come to spaces to find the truth. Let's get real.
Right on.
So that's all I have to say on that. And if somebody can provide a liable, reliable answer for me to find the truth, because that's what we're all doing.
That's what we're all doing. We do that in waves, and we offer what we can, and you just have to sit back and listen and take in as much as you can, and independently verify anything that you hear that definitely piques your interest. Thank you so much, C. Looper. Let's go to Zeus. Thank you. Let's go to Zeus and Big Death. Go ahead.
Hey, so actually, to what C. Looper was just saying, you know, when the Epstein situation, before we all knew about the Epstein situation, I would look at it like it was privately controlled, right? Like whoever was controlling the Epstein situation, we still don't know. Was it Israel? Was it the United States? Was it the wealthy people? Was it a combination of all of that? Who knows, right? Was it Mossad, CIA, whatever? And nothing came out. We didn't know about it. We knew these terrible things. We know now these terrible things were happening, but none of those things were released. Well, all of that information is now in the hands of the United States government. So it went from being privately owned, to our knowledge, to being government owned, right? And the same result has happened. The same thing is going on, which is that we don't know shit about anything. The same people that ran it, the same people that were in control, whether they're in control now or whether Jeffrey Epstein was the fall guy, it doesn't matter. Effectively, it's the same thing. In the hands of our government, it's as ineffective to us because we don't know. So that tells me this. They were always in control. They were always a party to this whole thing. Like, there's no other logical explanation. And now you could say they hold the keys, so now they have the power, so they can control these people with the information that they have. But it's very obvious that they're just running interference. I wanted to push back on one other thing before I'm gonna hop down so somebody else can hop up. And that's that Maine was still talking about the Charlie Kirk situation kind of being a non-starter, not caring. Charlie Kirk was talking about wanting to release the unredacted Epstein files within months of being shot and killed. So if you don't see that as a huge problem, and even when I said, you know, nothing got released, we didn't know anything, it wasn't until, you know, they finally stepped in and said, okay, this Jeffrey Epstein guy, they had this search, whatever. And we could even say that whatever reason he went down, but the government hasn't done shit since. And Charlie Kirk comes out asking for the unredacted, and he's dead. And I don't give a shit what country it is or who it was. And May have not been drinking tequila, but I was, so I apologize for the language. But they are closely related. And he's not just some Republican mouthpiece. He was a guy that was fighting for the truth. And until we can find an angle where we're not fighting for Republicans or Democrats, we're not going to succeed. When we all say, okay, Bill Clinton was there, so let's all jump, Republicans and Democrats, on his ass until he flips on somebody else, no one's going to get anywhere. We need these guys to drop nukes on each other. We need a little bit here to drop nukes on that guy so that he's going to go, wait a minute, don't drop nukes on me, I got nukes on that guy. And we need both sides to just destroy each other, and that's really going to be the only way. It's not through voting harder. We're not going to vote better. Like, we're not going to vote harder. Vote right, vote left. Who gives a... That's not going to change anything. Nothing. We
got a breaking statement from Bill Clinton himself.
What's that?
I've got a breaking statement from Bill Clinton himself, reported in the Daily Mail.
And what is it?
It says
it's the Daily Mail. Take it for what it is.
This is they're quoting Bill Clinton. This is the statement that the Daily Mail is saying Bill Clinton said. It says the White House hasn't been hiding these files for months, only to dump them late on a Friday to protect Bill Clinton. This is about shielding themselves from what comes next or from what they'll try and hide forever. That was a statement from Bill Clinton about
No. That's not from Bill Clinton. It's from somebody that used to work for Bill Clinton when he was the president of the United States. It's a former aide to him. It's not from Bill Clinton. I saw the same tweet. And it was actually not from the Daily Mail. It was actually off that staffer's Twitter account.
I did not have sex with that.
Daily Mail's
I did not have sex with that woman.
So listen, this is we knew, everybody knew. It doesn't matter what the party you align with, if a party, no party, whatever, it doesn't matter. Everybody knew Bill Clinton was in this. This is not new, right? Everybody has known that Bill Clinton is a deviant. This is not new, right? We have all known Bill Clinton is a degenerate and had a bit of a hornball problem. Okay, we've all known this, and we shouldn't take it lightly. Clearly a pedophile. And should face justice if there's stuff that we can get him for. He should absolutely do that. And I'm going to add to this too. Comer, who's the congressman that is the chair, the Republican congressman that is the chair of the House Government Oversight Committee, needs to stop being a bitch and letting Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton get away from testifying. He keeps allowing them to delay their testimony before the House Government Oversight Committee.
Why aren't they bringing in why aren't they bringing in Dyke Khan in, the executive of Epstein's estate, who ran his operation for 30 years?
Right. I asked Ro earlier tonight. I got clarification in that this is now going to, I believe, the second week of January for the Clintons. Bongino is now on the list to come in. Bannon is on the list. All of these people are going to keep going. But here's the thing. The Republicans have the majority, so they get to decide who subpoenas who and what, right? The minority party doesn't have any subpoena power in Congress. So it's really on Comer. So this is one of those things where Rose was saying is this is part of that political pressure. We need to put the pressure on Congress to do what they're supposed to do, which is regulate and oversight on this. We want answers. You got to get Congress to drive these people and get them under oath and publicly, not behind closed doors like they just did with Jack Smith. All of this stuff should be out in the open. And on Charlie Kirk, let me be clear. I was one of the first Democrats to come out and disavow violence on the left. I was appalled by what happened to Charlie Kirk on that day. I tweeted so and have been vehemently in support of Charlie Kirk, because I actually didn't see Charlie Kirk as a far-right zealot. I actually saw him as one of these Republicans or conservative-leaning Republicans that wants to do what I want to do, which is talk to people that you don't necessarily agree with all the time. What I said was, I don't have a dog in this Erica Kirk, Candace Owens pissing match. I don't care, because for me, that's like who's going to grift off this poor kid and what happened to him harder. That I don't care about. Getting to the bottom of what actually happened to Charlie Kirk that day, 100% should do that. And I've been in here with Dilly, and we have talked about what I think happened that day as somebody that owns guns, has fired guns, and I've actually tweeted about the Australia shooting and that rifle and some other stuff. Let me be clear on that. My point is, I don't give a shit about who's winning between Erica and Candace. It's great fodder and entertainment for me, but I don't care, right? Just on that.
You're mislabeling you're mischaracterizing the dynamic here. This is not about Erica and Candace. Those are two straw men, right? This is the very same establishment and intelligence community and corrupted FBI that is protecting the Epstein clients. That is what's at the heart of this Charlie Kirk investigation. It is the same fucking devil, right? That is why it's so important. Like, it's not, they're not mutually exclusive. They're not.
No, I'm not saying that
other people about Epstein.
Well, this is where we'll agree, Dilly, is that this is that whole big circle of the club, right? That's the club. You've got the marriage of the military-industrial complex, the intelligence complex. Now you have the AI complex coming into it. And then you have the big money interests. That is inside all of it. 150% agree with you. And then this pissing match between Candace and Erica is just a distraction away from what's actually happening. I will totally agree with you there. That's why I don't waste much time on that dynamic of it. Finding out what happened to Charlie, we should absolutely do that. And I love the work you guys have been doing on that. But I'm not engaging on going down the rabbit hole, because there are some times I feel like, I'm going to choose my words carefully here, that we live in a world of confirmation bias, where if you have a preset notion and belief about something, whether it's a part of your greater worldview, right? You have people on the far right that think it's the problem. The biggest problem we have in American society are brown people, right? We have a housing crisis because of all the brown people that are here, right? On the other side of the aisle,
I think you're deflecting right now.
I'm not. I'm actually making a prime example. And the other side, it's the Jews, right? That's that. And you have a confirmation bias, and you're going to bring that into any argument, right? And if you don't get that viewpoint confirmed in a conspiracy, you're still going to hold that same.
Except for I'm not pointing out a conspiracy. I'm just pointing
out. You're taking it personally. I'm not talking about you.
Well, you said you, so I'm just.
The collective you. It's the collective.
Well, even so much, right? I'm a leader. I'm a leader in this community. I'm not the leader. I just said I am a leader in this community, and I don't espouse. I'm gonna have to drop you down because you keep coming off mic. I don't espouse like harebrained conspiracies. I'm not making fun of people who do, but I just don't do it. And I also try to emanate that philosophy to my audience, right? Like of making sure you have primary evidence, seeing if the stated official narrative, that's the government narrative, lines up with the facts, and if it does not, then you demand answers. And that's what's happening with as far as Charlie Kirk and me right now, right? And so there's nothing wrong with that.
I don't disagree with you.
The conspiratorial stuff is actually used much like, the racial stuff, right? As soon as you're having a race debate with me about reparations, as soon as you call me a bigot or a racist, right? Then, or if I call you a woke, then that ends the conversation. And the same thing happens with, it's a way to discredit you and say that you are unqualified to have a meaningful position in this conversation. The same thing is happening with Charlie Kirk and the conspiracy theory shit. People will take the most extreme things that are being said, apply them to you, even though you're not saying them, and then make a generalization and say, oh, well, you're getting conspiratorial, yada, yada, yada. And then now the bystanders or their friends or their peers or whatever, they hear that, and then again, it is a way to end further conversation. So that is why I'm very adamant about not espousing any kind of theories, just because, one, theories are unprovable by the nature of government investigations. If you're not in the government, you don't have access to the evidence you need to prove a theory. They're a waste of time to me. Two, right, is that, again, it's a way for bad actors who might have an incentive to stop, independent investigations to kind of not shut them down, but get people to stop listening. So I just wanted to add that clarification. Hold on. I want to go to Big Dev because he's been trying to get up here for a long time. The space has been glitchy. Go ahead, Big Dev.
Howdy, good evening, y'all. Thank you for the space, Diligent Noxie. Phenomenal as always. Appreciate the patience, the space crash.
Sam, I say a co-host. We're getting ready to pivot back to Charlie Kirk for a second, too.
So I just wanted to contribute some lucidity on what we've learned from Epstein and some of the recent Epstein drops. Put forth a timetable, and then I'll throw a question back to you and Maine to help corroborate some of the milestones here. So before I get into it, I'll be real quick. I'll try to get through it in like 20 seconds. Some of the names I'm going to cover are Tom Barrack, Epstein, of course, Tom Barrack in context of Epstein, and IP3 Partners, which has a lot to do with this nuclear stuff we've been seeing, and likely even this Trump media nuclear merger. So in the last tranche of Epstein releases, there were those really strange emails, right? We got access to his emails. One of the emails went to a guy named Tom Barrack. It was actually just before the 2016 election. I don't know if you guys remember the email that said, "Send me a photo with you and child, make me smile." That was really odd. That was to Tom Barrack, and Tom Barrack actually did end up replying a couple months after that. So this, again, in context, this is before the 2016 election. Tom Barrack starts digging into Epstein's advice specifically for Middle East contacts, UAE, as well as Saudi Arabia. And so Epstein offers more advice specifically on how to kind of deal with Trump and lead Trump into that orbit. And he starts to bring some of his contacts with him. So then August 2016, that were a couple months before the election, Epstein schedules another meeting with Barrack. So we found this again in the last release of some of the Epstein emails. So then this is kind of where I'll land the plane, and it all ties in. So Epstein actually, we found photos of Epstein with MBS. Epstein actually traveled to Saudi Arabia the day before the 2016 election, so on November 7th. And why this is really odd, and I think kind of ties everything in, is the timetables kind of clearly allude that one of Epstein's main objectives is that he was a key part of brokering some of our nuclear technologies to Saudi Arabia and to Russia as well. And so all this stuff has been also, and this is where I'll kind of lean back to you, Maine, and to you, Diligent, as well. Jack Smith mentioned some of this with respect to the classified files that Trump had kept and potentially shared with other folks. So that kind of ties into the IP3. As a citizen, I'm really, I mean, especially knowing that TAE is backed by $6 billion of Russian money. The assassinated MIT professor actually sat on the board of a nonprofit with the current CEO of TAE. So there's been some knowledge transfer there. So pretty much the doomsday scenario of any American is, the Russians are getting access to our nuclear, to our nuclear program, or nuclear capabilities, etc. So this is a major concern to me, and if you guys could just shed some light, because I know Jack Smith had some mention of nuclear materials being among some of the specific classified materials. That's it. So I'll kind of land there.
There's a lot to unpack there. I think that is another thing about Epstein you bring up is really important, is he's like had his hands in everything. All of this like surveillance technology, artificial intelligence, geopolitical like nation states negotiations. Just like it was crazy, all the shit that he was involved in. It was madness. And then we saw that he had fake identities. I believe one of them was a Saudi passport, right? Like one of them. So it's clearly that he was like more and more. It's like kind of obvious that he was acting as a proxy for our government, which is so. Think about how evil that is, right? Like we're talking about, and the Epstein files that were dropped today. The number of victims increased from what was stated before. When Pam Bondi came out, or the DOJ released a memo saying that they were going to end the investigation into Epstein, they declared 1,000 victims. Well, some of the people who have gone through these files today have counted another couple of hundred to add to that list. Who knows how many there really are? Like it's insane. Things that are coming up about his. There's photos of Zorro Ranch. Zorro Ranch has never been raided. You know that? Zorro Ranch was never raided. They raided New York. They caught people while the cops were there, removing evidence, and let them leave. They were photographed leaving. Aaron and Dyke. Leaving with evidence from a federally controlled crime scene, or a PD, police department controlled crime scene, and he was photographed carrying the documents out in a hoodie, walking out the door, and never arrested, never charged, never nothing. They have been called in for subpoenas and depositions over and over and over again. They don't show up. They don't have to. They face no kind of consequences. Until we have a system of laws that works, even the Epstein Transparency Act itself and how it was carried out today highlights the problem, right, with our system. Our system is broken. If the system was working, there would be an independent arm that the DOJ is supposed to be independent of the executive. Okay, it is supposed to operate independently. It would be arresting whoever was in charge. The lieutenants would be arresting Pam Bondi, whatever. Like, they would be holding themselves accountable, but that doesn't happen. So every time we have a Democrat in office and they're not holding their own accountable, and we have a Republican in office and they're not holding their own accountable, you know, the system wins. We have got to figure out a way to fix this, and I don't think I disagree with Maine on this. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. If anything, the last 8 years have shown us, right, that we picked populist presidents, right? We picked populist presidents at the time. We can argue about Joe Biden. And it did nothing.
Definitely not a populist. Definitely not a populist.
It did nothing, though. But it was a populist movement that really kind of carried him, right? It was the pro-Palestine, the LGBT, it was a coalition of populism that did get him elected. Even though he's not a populist president, there was populist movements that backed him on the Democrat or the left side. So, like, I would argue that, you know, the evidence shows, regardless of how the chips fall during an election, the outcomes aren't really that different. We have to figure something out. I don't know what that is. I'm not suggesting anything, you know, extreme, but I think collectively we have really got to get this figured out.
Yeah, listen, this is what I would say to that is, what's the alternative? Right? Like, I hear, I'm not trying to be subversive or an oppo here. But I'm genuinely curious about ideas, right? Is, okay, well, doing the same thing over and over again is insanity, sure. I think it's a great line. But what's the alternative? I've always said, if you want to change things, it's to use the system. You take over a political party, right? I think the Republican Party, for example...
MAGA took over the Republican Party. What are you talking about?
Correct, but now you're getting
to the Democrat Party.
Jesus Christ. Listen, no, actually... They most certainly haven't. The Democratic Party would be a much better and more populist party if the progressives had. They haven't. The problem is the Democratic Party is controlled and has been controlled since the late 1970s by Wall Street and anything else. And you can tell because most of the progressives, once they start rising up in the ranks, they all moderate. They all triangulate and move away from populism. AOC's doing it right now, right? Because she wants to run for president or run for Senate. That's how you move up the Democratic Party. So you don't go to the left. You run to where the money is, which is Wall Street in the middle. But the point I'm making is, you saw this with MAGA. They took over the Republican Party, but just as the same thing that we went through when Obama got elected on populism, Obama more populist than Biden, got elected, got to Washington, and then the swamp takes over, right? And your entire movement gets co-opted. That's the point. How do we prevent that from happening? That's the key. If you really want to change it,
you can't. You have to act outside the system, because that.
Right. So what does that mean?
The system is designed for that to happen, right? Like
what does that mean?
Maine,
right? Well, 1 second. This is a good conversation. Okay, I hear you. What does that mean? What do you mean by outside the system?
I think that.
What's that mean?
I don't think it's appropriate for me to say right now. I think if you really want to know, you will read the Federalist Papers, you will read the Declaration of Independence, and you will see the plan and the Second Amendment, and you will see the plan that our forefathers laid out for us whenever we had taxation without representation, which is...
Rebellion. You're saying rebellion.
That's not what I said. Will we have taxation without representation? Listen, I'm not going to throw that out there because the way that they're going after social media and the way they want to invoke the Insurrection Act, I'm not going to use my platform to try to get people to be going to revolt. I'm just saying, right, the framework for solving the issue of taxation without representation and a tyrannical criminal government was laid out by our founders, right? And so we just need to find the courage and the know-how on how to do that. We need to sit down. It doesn't have to be violent. I'm not advocating any kind of violence, but there's often ideas that are suggested during these spaces, like peaceful non-compliance, quit participating in the money system, pull all of your money out of the stock system at the same time, crash it, right? Get them frantic, use your leverage that you have to peacefully negotiate for terms with the establishment, and just getting enough people to that point requires a level of awareness I don't think we're at yet, which is why I harp on the Epstein files and Charlie Kirk, because they are a visceral depiction of the corruption within the system that goes beyond party, right? And so that's why I harp on it so much. We have to get enough people aware to acknowledge it, and I would argue, maybe you don't see it, but I know, anecdotally from my real life, I often ask people around me that are not political and do not live on X, what are they hearing? And they are hearing about Charlie Kirk. They are hearing and seeing about Erica Kirk. They were hearing, not really so much right now, about the Epstein files. And so these are issues that break the barrier of bubbles, echo chambers, and they go cross-platform. And I think that this is why I think it's so important to not be just to only sing one song, right? I think it's important that we be able to walk and chew gum. And so I'll continue to do both. I'm going to go through these hands.
Can I just ask a follow-up question to you both, and then I'll go back to listener diligent. Can we start by prosecuting this Tom Barrack and everyone involved with IP3 and selling our nuclear secrets?
We can't prosecute anybody, bro. We need a working fucking. We did not have a working Justice Department under Biden, and the fact that we are sitting here with no Epstein files tells you that we don't have a working Justice Department under Trump. So we can't have anybody prosecuted. That's what I was talking about with Maine earlier. I was having a conversation with Grok in his replies, and I'm like, what do we do, okay, as we the people, right? Now, when I say we, I mean we the people, What do we do, what do the people do when the prosecuting arm of the government will not function, right? Like, it will not hold itself accountable, even though it's breaking the law. And all that can be done is like committee hearings. You have to get a piece of legislation. I didn't know this until today. If we want an independent prosecuting arm to investigate and prosecute on Charlie Kirk or Epstein, we have to draft an entire piece of legislation, get it through committee, get it passed, and then have Trump sign it before we can have a real independent counsel, a special counsel that can actually prosecute people. That's what we need to do right now. If you're wondering what we need to do as people, if you're going to try to work within the system, we should all be clamoring our representatives on both sides of the aisle and demand that they convene a special counsel. It would be cool if we could get two birds with one stone. Convene a special counsel that has plenary power, and what that means is that has total power over the other agencies to investigate, subpoena, and prosecute over those agencies on both those cases. That's where we're at right now. Otherwise, this corruption and this rot, it's just going to persist. Like if you want to work within
this is where we need the Democrats. This is where, I think we can leverage the Democratic Party. I'm serious. I think if we can tell this story and get them on board, that's who we go to
the Republicans are in power, and they'll shut that down immediately.
That's the one thing I've been trying to tell you is the minority party has no subpoena power. Now, what Dilly's talking about is true. You can do it the legislative route. If you've noticed, and I was talking to some friends on the Hill about this the other day, you're starting to see Republicans now, and Democrats for that matter, using things in the House that aren't routinely used, discharge motions. You saw it with the Epstein files, of course. You've seen it in the last few days on the ACA tax credit stuff. You saw it with Anna Paulina Luna on stock trading, all this kind of stuff. And that's simply because that's them you going outside the norms to try to get legislative processes done because of the entrenchment of Johnson, who has no interest in doing the oversight of the regulation that is the body, the legislative body, and co-equal branches of government. So I think a discharge motion might be interesting because that actually forces a vote on the House floor for some kind of special committee. You saw with January 6th, again, not saying it was a valid thing. I'm just using it as an example that you can create a committee that way to do that sort of thing for these types of investigations. So with the 9/11 Commission and other things. I think you could get something like that, and that's maybe something we could talk to Massey and Takana about and doing a discharge motion for that, whether it's with Charlie Kirk. And also,
I no longer trust their committees. I no longer trust any of them to investigate themselves.
Well, the committee would he's talking about getting the special counsel convened. You would need to get it through committees to even get it on the floor.
Yeah, you use discharge motions to do that, which is you bypass the legislative process. That's why Johnson hates them, right? It's why Johnson didn't want to do the ACA up and down vote when I think it was 4 or 5 moderate.
That's why we pushed so hard for the discharge petition. That was so that we could bypass all the establishment parks.
Yeah, you bypass the speaker. So if you wanted to do that and try to find a way to create a blue ribbon commission or an independent body or a special prosecutor or what have you, you got to use that motion, or Johnson, who is a lackey, won't go anywhere near this.
That's a good idea. And I think the other thing we have to do is, put political pressure on these people now. The problem is I don't know exactly who needs to be pressured to do what at this point. And
we should put down on Epstein and on Kirk especially.
Yeah. Let's just focus. I mean, Billy's got a good role going. We can, but I do like the idea of a pressure campaign to appoint at this point a blue ribbon panel. The problem is that they'll, stuff it with toadies if you're not careful. But you got to get people on there who will call balls and strikes, and that's hard.
We need people we know. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Massey, and Rokana.
I'm going to throw this out there. I think Marjorie's about to do something dramatic, and I think
I see her making the tour.
What do you think?
I think when Congress comes back,
she's going to read the names.
I think she's going to do that, but something even greater than that. I think she's going to pull a Matt Gaetz. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to try to get Johnson to vacate the speakership. I think she's going to come in there.
Of that.
I think like a bull in a china shop, all she needs is 8. And look how many of them have joined with Democrats in the last couple of weeks on ACA subsidies and are pissed at Johnson for not giving them what they wanted, which was just an up and down vote, which wouldn't have passed anyway. They just wanted the up and down vote. He wouldn't even give them that.
People are not happy with him.
That's what I'm saying. And what kind of send off would that be for Marjorie Taylor Greene, who leaves on January 6th and comes in and says, Speaker, I've got enough. This is a discharge motion, a motion to vacate. We need to take a vote on the floor. My God.
Waniak left because she said it was Johnson. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
I'm going to go to some hands, you guys. Go ahead, Uncommon.
You kind of hit on it a little bit, but I did want to read something that Massey posted earlier that I thought was interesting. Honestly, it kind of made me laugh. It was kind of sad, but it was about, obviously, the release of the Epstein files and them not being, what that he wanted, obviously. He says a future DOJ could convict the current Attorney General and others because the Epstein Files Transparency Act is not like a congressional subpoena, which expires at the end of each Congress. Now, obviously, I mean, I hate to say that. I think that's funny because, like, is this the only, what's the enforcement arm if they don't release it? I mean, the DOJ, they're basically, is the implication that we have to wait for potentially a Democrat DOJ to care enough to go after this DOJ?
You can sue, and then it might force Bondi to resign or vacate.
But they're going to just put in somebody. What I'm saying is, obviously, we're asking the government to invest the government, and it is. I mean, like you said, it essentially. And I don't even believe in Democrat and Republican at this point. I don't think it matters. So, like, obviously, Biden and the Democrats had the Epstein files the whole time too. Like, it's a bipartisan thing to cover it up. So it's not really like.
Yeah, didn't Massey say the other night, though, that the way that he wrote it, it gives the people standing, so, like, news organizations, all this stuff, like, it gives standing for them to be able to sue them in court as well?
Yes.
Or any victim that was looking for information about what happened to her, or anything like that. Like, if that information was not released, then now they can take them to court because they have standing.
Yes.
But would they be able to get any of the information redacted for the public? I think that could be a different thing, right? Like, being able to sue them. Yeah,
well, it also becomes, you get a lot of lawsuits going against the country. I mean, against the DOJ is not a good thing. Like, at some point there has to be enough amount of pressure from the people. Like, even whenever Massey was originally writing this and pushing for this, like, he was saying himself, like, it's still going to take work after this because then we have to get them to comply, then we have to get them to follow through and everything. But he tried to keep the wording tight inside of the bill so that it is law and they have to enforce it by law. If they don't, that's why I was hoping that he would have seen I think he did see Diligent's message earlier, but I was hoping he would pop in here, is because that was one of the things that I wanted to ask him is, like, what's the follow-up at this point? Even if the citizens now have standing and have a right, to sue to get some of this released.
They're going to face the nation on Sunday, and I think that they're counting on addressing these issues then.
And I hope that, I don't know. It's frustrating for me to look at it as a citizen because if the government told me I had until this day and this time to do something, I would be in big trouble. So I do think that there needs to be some accountability there.
Well, I think we all agree there should be. The question is there will be. But the other thing, the other thought I had was in regards to Pam Bondi. A lot of people are like, oh, well, how could Pam Bondi do this or whatever? But I mean, if you put yourself in Pam Bondi's shoes, the reality is she probably made the better decision for herself. Like, are you going to do what all the people in the government want, or are you going to do what the people want? And obviously we know she's supposed to serve the people. That's just not really the case. Like, it's going... surely she's going to keep doing whatever the party line wants her to do, right? Like, no matter what. I don't even know... And even if they don't do it, like, what are the I guess, like... Massey is saying she could potentially go to jail if a Democrat AG takes her to jail. Are the Republican AGs aren't taking anybody to jail for this supposed election fraud that they say?
But it's not the party, it's Trump. She serves Trump. She's his personal lawyer, essentially. She does not serve the party.
A couple of things. I think she works as Trump's lawyer myself. That's just my personal opinion.
But you can also say at the same time that the DOJ has been compromised, no matter who's behind or who's president at the time.
Yeah, but none of that matters.
Not like now. Not like today. Not like
we're talking about, Brian, hold on. We're talking about the present day. I don't want to say do this tit for tat. Well, nobody cares.
I'm not doing tit for tat. But you can obviously look that the DOJ and the FBI have been compromised for a very long time, and they are protecting.
That's false equivalence. Total false equivalence. You have to go back to Hoover. Yeah.
Why do you guys hate women so much? Let her finish her sentence.
That was a stupid comment, Diligent.
Okay, whatever.
I laughed, bro. I laughed. Go ahead, let her finish though.
Well, No, it's just like you look at it and you can see that there's obviously problems with our DOJ and our FBI. These systems are not working for the people of America. They are working for the donor class, they are working for the elites, and they are working for politicians. Whether you want to say that they're working for Trump, whether Republicans want to say that they worked for Biden, that's the problem. They shouldn't be working for any president whatsoever. They should be working for the people of the United States. And just because hold on, please. And just because I can call it out as a Republican and I can say that they are corrupt and they are working for the Trump, it would be equally effective if we would get out of this paradigm of left versus right and defending our own side and get to the point to where, yes, there is a problem with the DOJ and the FBI. Whether you saw it during Biden's administration or you see it now during Trump's administration, there is a problem there where they are no longer serving the American people. That is the problem we need to address. Get out of this paradigm. It's absolutely...
All right, you're repeating yourself over and over and over again.
You are carrying on a little bit, Ignacy, but Linda.
Well, that's what I was landing if he interrupted me, but it's getting out of this paradigm.
No, you were saying the exact same thing over and over.
I'm not going to fight with his voice. Go ahead, Double J.
According to record.
Let's go to Cos, Mike, and then Brian.
Hey, Diligent, thanks for letting me speak. I like kind of where the space is going directionally, and I want to, I guess, share my thoughts on it. I think that we do need to do something to shake things up. Like what you said is correct, right? I mean, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. But that's not to say I don't think that we need to destroy the entire system, but we should definitely make some significant changes. And I think the number one change I would propose is to get away from identity politics. I think that that's probably been one of the most damaging things we've done to ourselves, is to go with this boxing in people and trying to label them to make ourselves feel better, because now we know who to attack. The other thing is, I think we need to do away with the political whole concept of having people who basically their entire career is to climb the political system, and to become governors of the people is really the wrong way to go, because I think they need to have real world experience out in America and understand how America works to properly have any sort of insight on what things are needed for our government. And I think there needs to be something along the lines of actually having some sort of representation from each and every different key area of business in our country. In other words, we should have people from the construction industry. We should have people from the retail industry. All these different kinds of businesses out there, so that we can have a bigger picture, better picture of what's going on, and not just what some lawyer thinks. Because we have the majority of people in the government are just basically lawyers, and none of them done any sort of real work. So to that end, I think we need to have term limits. I think that's probably the other thing that's hurting us a lot, is the fact that we got some people in there that've been in there forever, and they're just not adapting, and they're still applying old political ideologies and ideas to current problems, because that's what they know, and that's what they're stuck in, and they're not moving forward. And not to mention that some of them are just too old to continue to be useful as representatives. So I think those are really the main things I think we need to do. The other thing too is, I think we need something like a Doge to be permanent, because we can't have this massive waste going on where we've got billions of dollars, literally billions of dollars, being misappropriated and misspent, and no one seems to know how this is happening.
$2 trillion.
And that's just crazy. Then finally, we shouldn't have insider trading of any sort. That needs to be done away with somehow. And then maybe we could have some sort of performance bonus for people who work for the government.
Kind of keep it adjacent to the things that are up in the topic.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I mean, since we had gone there, I just wanted to say those things.
Thank you. You need to route. Thanks. You need to route out the legislative corruption as well, because it contributes to what we're talking about. We definitely do. Go ahead, Brian.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, I'm not trying to be like uber aggressive. I just heard the same phrases repeated over and over again. I agree with that. Keep listening to them. Yeah, no. So no, I just wanted to explain why. Because that's what I wanted to talk about.
I don't think I've ever heard somebody come up here and scream and lose their mind over protecting the DOJ and the FBI. Like, it's just mind-blowing.
She's flexing on you.
All right, so listen. All right, first of all, I put words in my mouth. What I was trying to address, I wanted to say why I was addressing that is that because it's quite fashionable for people to throw around the term uniparty, duopoly. They both do it all the time. They're both just as bad. Yeah. And you keep just saying it over and over, and we get it. It happened now under Trump. We admit it's happening now, but why can't you admit that the same thing happened and it's always been this way? Blah 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 blah. Since the 60s, the Department of Justice has made insanely remarkable progress on civil rights for women, for all kinds of minority groups, for everybody, by the way, not just minorities and non-white men. Everybody has seen remarkable progress in civil rights. Here we go. The other guy went on forever. No, I'm going to go into progression since you don't know your history. So you can go from the 60s into the 70s with Nixon and the EPA and the way the Department of Justice did a lot of environmental protection things since the creation of the EPA, and they have their own office for environmental protection that achieved a lot. You go into the 80s where equal access for people with disabilities became a big thing, and into the 90s as well. And just every segment of American society, from Native American to white patriarch, descendant of slave owners, have seen their civil rights benefit remarkably under the Department of Justice that went from being a partisan tool of persecution under people like J. Edgar Hoover to not being like that until you get to Trump. Because guess what? Trump committed those crimes, and that's why it happened. And guess what? Bob Menendez, as a Democrat, a sitting U.S. senator, okay? And other Democrats were prosecuted under Biden's DOJ as well. And they were also looking into his son under his watch and under Trump's watch. So his own son was being investigated publicly by his own Department of Justice. So do not tell me the Department of Justice under Biden. I'm almost done.
Are you talking about the son who was pardoned by Biden on his way out? Is it that same son?
I'm talking about the Department of Justice, sir. So we're talking.
It sure would be nice if you guys could love America more than you hate Trump right now, is all I gotta say.
Yeah, Brian, quit
Are you a wind-up doll that has like 10 things you're keeping?
Okay. We're going to stay away from the ad hominems, and you got to go on a good rant. I need some chill after listening to you talk for that long. I'm going to go to Maze for a second. We're going to let it go.
Almost done. I didn't get to the...
You're screeching, bro.
Why are you yelling?
You're screeching. I need you to stop. It's not yelling, it's screeching. I need you to dial it down.
You never let me finish.
I need you to dial it down. I'm going to go right back to you. I'm going to let you finish, okay? But we're also talking about, I'm going to reiterate for the space. Read the top. Epstein files late and all redacted. Charlie Kirk, military op, ? So, Brian, do you think that there's a good chance that an element within the government
Let me just land my plane, bro.
is responsible for or complicit in either the crimes themselves or at least the obfuscation and covering up of those crimes? It's a mute glitch. I'm not muting you. I wonder if he's yelling at the phone right now.
I know, me too. I'm scared. I'm already ducking.
I'm not muting you. It's a double glitch.
I was completely silent and just hitting my mute button. All right, so before I was, again, I interject. You guys talk over, interrupt, and cut me off. There's a difference. I interject. I ask a question. I push back. But what I was trying to land my plane and saying is that when you look at the Department of Justice from the 1960s until now, including Biden, where there were bipartisan prosecutions of people on both sides, including...
Are you just going to completely ignore my question? You should completely just disregard it, act like I didn't have you muted all that time. You're sitting there waiting, all excited, waving your hand, emojis, and you just disregard everything I said. Okay, we're pivoting.
I know. I'm gonna get.
You made your point, bro. Okay,
I didn't finish. So the fact
you want to slop on Biden a little bit while you're up here. That's fine. And I'm sure in some kind of weird Democrat way, maybe Maine appreciates it, but that's not what we're here for, right? We are here to not talk up our parties. We are here to talk about these two issues. So I'm going to try one more time with my question. I'm still trying to let you speak. I'm just framing it. I'm setting.
I heard your question. You don't ever want to let me say what I want to say. You only want me to answer your questions. You let everyone else say their piece, and then you ask the question.
I've let you you called my my co-host like some kind of name. He's gone. Okay. Well, that was entertaining. Thank you for the moment of levity. And now we're going to go to Uncommon. Go ahead, Uncommon. Floor is yours.
Yeah, I actually don't agree with the last speaker that the fact that we have more black trans women in the government is necessarily a sign of progress. So I just want to throw that out there. But anyway, and anyway, but he was entertaining. I do want to ask a serious question. I want to get back to
anyways, continue.
I want to get back to a serious or to the topic, I guess, at hand, which is, do you think today had to do with Dan Bongino resigning, and do you think we'll see a cascade of more resignations? Maybe. Yes. I mean, honestly, it seems like the administration is kind of coming apart.
I am expecting more resignations, and not just from the administration, but Congress as well, and not just what Maine said earlier. I've also got ears in Congress, and to a certain, lesser degree now, I know for a fact that there are going to be departures within the administration in January. Some big ones, big names.
Why did Bongino resign? I wasn't.
He didn't say why, but I think it's this. I think it is Epstein.
No way! That's pretty crazy.
I mean, he got writer's cramp from blacking out all those pages.
I think you'll hear from him. Not just I'm going to say something I've probably never said before. I'm going to tune into a Bongino podcast, the first one, and then most certainly when I was talking to Ro earlier tonight.
Why would you go support him with your viewership after he sold us out on Epstein? After he spent the last 3 years hyping up his platform with Epstein, and then when he gets in there, he sells us out on it. And now that he's quitting, instead of what you should have done on principle months ago. You're going to be like, I'm going to go listen to you now?
Me too. Shit, I'm nosy. I'm pretty sure he's going to say something, right?
I'm pretty sure that he's going to spill the beans, whether it's in his first show or, by the way, I ain't going to listen.
He's not going to say anything that's going to lead to
I'm going to listen because now he doesn't have to report to anybody. I'll listen.
You're getting schooled by a fucking Nigerian right now, man.
I'm not a fucking Nigerian. By the way, it says Zambian American.
Hold on, Edward. Hold on. Go ahead, man. What are you saying?
He's going to get subpoenaed by the House Oversight Committee, so he's going to have to.
No offense, Edward. All in love.
And by the way,
I get it. No offense.
I agree with you, Diligent. Get ready for this. Kevin McCarthy's going to be the next chief of staff, so get ready for that.
Really? Are you saying she's gonna be fired?
Wiles is out for sure.
Yeah. By the way, she should be fired. That was fucking.
She should have never been hired in the first place.
No. But she really fundamentally broke his trust. Like, she should be fired.
Did you guys not see Kevin McCarthy with the president on Air Force One the day that the article came out?
I don't even know what article. Yeah, I don't even know what article we were referring to.
And by the way,
he came out and said that Susie was not going anywhere after that. Let me just say this: the press, the staff have leaked this about so many people. They said that about Bondi. They did say that about Bongino, but that was back in June, and Bongino still was here for another 6 months, right? So I'll believe this shit when I see it, right? I will believe it. Same thing, even with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Bongino now. I'll believe that they are out when they are no longer there. I don't take anything for granted. anymore.
Yeah, the chief of staff.
By the way, Diligent. By the way, Noxie. Hi. How was your day? Anyway.
Hello, thank you very much. That was very kind.
Thinking that you're Nigerian.
Why Kevin McCarthy? That's kind of surprising because he's a simp, you know. Other than that,
It's good.